Time now for your forecast first. WRBL News 3 First Alert Weather.
Okay, a beautiful view, isn't it? And we have a couple more days of dry, and thanks to high pressure, keeping us high and dry, we go to the Phoenix City Amphitheater. You can start seeing the Riverwalk now, but not completely clear. We're still at action stage at 26.2 feet. Got to get below 25 feet for us to see the entire Riverwalk, but that's coming up in your forecast. Now, 82 degrees. The temperatures are up and away, that's for sure. We're going to hit about 84 tomorrow. This is what we're talking about. More 80s, dry conditions until we come into Thursday. It'll be a system that's actually sitting out there right now, but it's not coming our way just yet, and I'll explain why. You're watching WRBL News 3 on your side.
A manhunt underway after a deadly stabbing in Auburn over the weekend.
Police say the suspect was out on parole against their advice. Plus, good news may be on the way for hockey fans around the valley.
Hockey's return to the Civic Center is one city council vote from reality.
On your side, this is News 3 Evening Edition.
Good evening, everyone. We thank you for trusting News 3. I'm Phil Scoggins.
And I'm Teresa Whitaker. Now to an update. Columbus police officers have finished their investigation into an accident on April 4th when a dump truck struck and killed a downtown pedestrian in a wheelchair. Investigators have determined that 30-year-old W.D. Feeney was not in the crosswalk legally. The dump truck driver, 62-year-old Bradley Netherland of Phoenix City, was cited for 2 traffic violations: an overweight truck crossing the Dillingham Street Bridge and stopping over the stop bar. He was not cited for anything related to Feeney's death. Investigators concluded that the dump truck driver could not see Feeney in the wheelchair when the truck accelerated on the green light. The motor squad under Lieutenant Lance Deaton conducted the investigation.
We are done with the accident investigation, and at the conclusion of this, it was just a tragic accident.
You can find more on this story if you head over to WRBL.com.
First on 3, Auburn police and U.S. Marshals are searching for the man that they say stabbed an Auburn woman early Sunday morning, killing her.
News 3 has confirmed the suspect was out on parole against the advice of the Auburn Police Department. News 3's Elizabeth White joins us live from our East Alabama newsroom with this story. Liz.
Well, investigators say the 59-year-old victim was stabbed to death inside her home early Sunday morning. Today, we spoke with neighbors and friends who say they are devastated this type of violence visited their quiet community and took the life of their friend.
I see her every day. Real sad. It hurt. Saw you yesterday and you're gone today. On a Easter day. Praise the Lord.
Sunday morning's violence inside 59-year-old Phyllis Gallette's apartment at the Porter Avenue housing complex has rattled neighbors and friends.
She was a nice person. He was a nice person.
Auburn police and U.S. Marshals are tracking the suspect, 48-year-old Christopher Lyles.
We do believe that they knew each other, and there was some type of altercation that led to him escalating to the point where he stabbed her to death.
At the time of the alleged stabbing, Auburn police confirm Lyles was out on early parole on a 16-year sentence for a 2008 assault conviction. Police say the 2008 assault happened when Lyles was out on early parole yet again on a 30-year sentence for 1992 robbery, assault, and discharging of firearm convictions. Chief Register remembers writing a letter asking the parole board to deny Lyles second early parole.
So certainly in the case of Mr. Lyles, we did respond that we would prefer him not to be released. But again, certainly can't speak to whatever circumstances or considerations as to who's released and who's not.
Now, a woman is dead, and investigators say they're working around the clock to get Lyles into custody before anyone else gets hurt.
I think this situation was specific to the 2 people as to how that escalated. But again, when someone can commit a crime of violence like that, that is someone that we don't want out running around without knowing where they are. We'd like to end that possibility of him having another situation with someone else.
And if you have any information on where Lyles, the suspect, may be, you're encouraged to call the Auburn Police Department. We will, of course, keep you updated. For now, reporting live on your side from your East Alabama newsroom, I'm News 3's Elizabeth White.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Following the devastating March 3rd tornadoes, United Way of Central Alabama implemented a web page for the collection of donations for the United Way of Lee County. The fund received large contributions from Mercedes, Coca-Cola, and Honda, as well as individuals wanting to help.
The check we're presenting today is just over $194,000. It's money that was raised from all across Alabama and the country. The money is going to be given to the United Way of Lee County, and it is going to be used for long-term recovery.
The United Way of Lee County says it's committed to using the funds to help victims with long-term recovery needs. United Way is working with MEND, that's the local long-term recovery committee, to determine the unmet needs and to help make families whole again as much as possible.
Local farmers continue to struggle 6 months after Hurricane Michael devastated crops across the southeast.
This as Congress fails once again to pass a federal disaster aid bill that would send funds to those affected. News 3's Michaela Singleton is live in the studio following up on the latest plea issued to our country's leaders. Michaela.
Well, Phil and Teresa, this letter just came out today into our studio. Now, in it, 135 growers, agricultural groups, businesses, they're all urging President Trump and congressional leaders to finally pass the federal disaster aid package as thousands of America's farmers struggle with the aftermath of 2018 natural disasters.
Spring means the start of planting season for many farmers. However, those whose crops were devastated by Hurricane Michael may be facing the tough decision to go out of business. Local experts tell News 3 farmers are struggling without the federal disaster aid that's also struggling to make it through Congress.
They need to have the money they need to plant their crops. They have to have equipment that was destroyed in the hurricane, because not only was it crops that were destroyed, it was infrastructure as well.
Morgan says Georgia suffered heavy agricultural losses after the Category 5 hurricane hit in October. More than $600 million worth of cotton crops were destroyed, $374 million worth of timber, and $560 million worth of pecans, just to name a few. He says if local farmers weren't able to save enough of their 2018 crop and make enough money to buy this year's seed, that ripple effect may mean they'll never recover.
In the pecan crop, you're talking about 20 and 30 years. So you got a producer that's 50 or 60 years old, he'll never see the recuperation of those losses.
Congress failed once again in early April to pass a federal disaster aid package which would include Hurricane Michael relief to the southeast, as well as funds to other areas affected by 2018 natural disasters. The debate is currently split along party lines as President Trump declared he will not support further financial aid to Puerto Rico, while Democrats oppose an aid package without it. 135 agricultural agencies across America now appeal in a letter to Trump and congressional leaders, urging them to consider the thousands of families facing hardship the longer it takes to receive aid.
It's about families. It's not about politics. We've got families that are hurting in dire need, not just in Georgia, but all across the country. We've had floods, wildfires, devastating weather, and those guys are hurting. They feed our country, so we need that help.
Congress will return from a break-in session later this week when they will continue debating the proposed $13.5 billion federal aid bill. Now, Republicans submitted an aid package that would include $600 million in food-only aid to Puerto Rico. Democrats turned this down, saying they will not agree without additional money to cover infrastructure recovery. Phil, Teresa.
All right, thank you so much, Michaela. Well, it appears that hockey's return to the Civic Center is one Columbus Council vote from reality.
Indeed. News 3's Chuck Williams broke the story earlier this month. He's joining us now with the latest details. Chuck?
Phil, Teresa, an ownership group from the Federal Hockey League has negotiated a lease with the Civic Center that must be approved by council. That vote will come at Tuesday afternoon's meeting. Columbus has been without hockey for 2 seasons. In 2017, the Columbus Cottonmouths folded after 2 decades in the Civic Center. The 6-team Federal League is primarily up north, but there is a franchise in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Carolina Thunderbirds GM Scott Bland is the spokesman for the ownership group that wants to, the ownership group which has not been identified.
If that gets approved, I would say we've got a 95% chance it's going to happen. I mean, you never want to say 100%, but you know, the Federal League has already granted the team pending the approval of the lease, and then you just got to cross some I's and dot some T's. I don't know what would stand in its way. As I said, it's a tremendous facility. It's a tremendous city, and so I can't see a reason why it wouldn't be dropping the puck in October.
For more details on this story, go to WRBL.com. This news will make a lot of local hockey fans happy. Phil, Teresa.
All right, thank you so much, Chuck. Coming up right here on Evening Edition, suicide among veterans on the rise. That story straight ahead.
Can't help it. This high-pressure system looks like a hockey puck, doesn't it? Dropping the big H there, the high pressure is going to keep us high and dry until this system starts to move eastward. You know, that means when that happens, a little rain, but not just yet. We'll show you when, coming up.